It's Taco Tuesday!
Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's your boy Taco, back with a new game review. Now, I've been away for the past few weeks on vacation, but I'm finally back and I'll be dropping uploads as usual every Tuesday moving forward. I have some montages in the works and some other exciting games and projects that I'm really excited to share with you guys. But today, I have what I think is the first exclusive PS5 game, being Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Before I get into spoiler-free review, I can only speak for myself, but as a PS5 owner, it really has felt like this console released without there being any games that would really show off this new hardware. Will this game eventually be available for the PS4? I think it may in due time, but at the moment, you can only play this on the PS5, so if you have a PS5 or you're looking to get one down the line, then this review is for you. I remember as a kid playing the original Ratchet and Clank on PS2, and I played several of the other games. I think Up Your Arsenal was one of my all-time favorites, but Rift Apart does this incredible job of being a next-gen Ratchet and Clank with fantastic gameplay, a great story, and unique characters, while also being reminiscent to the older games and having that Ratchet and Clank familiar recipe of just being an all-around fun and exciting game.
Really work that meat together. Lovely. And now comes the interesting part. Let your fingers get in there.
Before we get into it, if you guys can drop a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't to support the channel, that'd be greatly appreciated. But that recipe is having fun and unique weapons, like in this game, where you have the ability to turn your enemies into hedges or bushes, or freezing them into ice cubes. That, mixed with the writing that is full of banter and funny remarks between characters, and overall a world that is fun to explore, packed with different gadgets to take on a large spectrum of monsters throughout the universe. It's just a playground where you can really just do it all. The background for Rift Apart is that Dr. Nefarious from the previous games, the main villain, steals this Dimensionator weapon to take you to a dimension where he always wins and beats Ratchet and Clank.
Boring!
Except this ends up creating all kinds of rifts throughout the dimensions, which brings on all kinds of problems in their own. So you start off as Ratchet and Clank, but you meet their counterparts in this new dimension, which are Rivet and Kit. Now, something that Insomniac Games did exceptionally well is the transition is seamless between playing Ratchet and Rivet throughout the main story, and all the guns and unlocks are shared between both of them. Ratchet is with Kit and Rivet is with Clank, so there's this good mix of familiarity with the new as you are trying to bring Ratchet and Clank back together while defeating Dr. Nefarious and his counterpart, Emperor Nefarious. The story takes us to a variety of different planets that all are distinct from the next, and where you interact with unique characters that are all memorable in their own rights. One of the things that Ratchet and Clank games always seem to do for me is create very memorable characters through their funny and witty dialogue, or just by unique and creative character design. Additionally, these planets are a perfect size in my opinion in terms of the content that they have, collectibles, and just genuine exploration without being excessively large where you would need to fast travel like in a lot of other games. As mentioned earlier on, the weapon variety is pretty solid for this one. I do think games in the past may have had a greater creativity in terms of the variety and types of guns. For instance, there's several gadgets that turn enemies into an object in this game, and I think a lot of the blaster weapons are very similar. But overall, especially if you're new to the series, the number of weapons keeps the gunplay refreshing, while also offering you the opportunity to level up the guns, enhancing their abilities. The overall story takes around 10 to 15 hours to beat, which I felt was perfect for what this game is. And I played on the second hardest difficulty, which I'll admit, it was not easy by any means. Some of the boss fights were actually pretty challenging, and I was struggling from time to time on a few of them. That brings me to the only flaws or downfalls to Rift Apart, and that's that the boss variation and maybe even the enemy variation overall just wasn't that great. For most of the game, your main enemies are either these orange robots from Emperor Nefarious, or just these robot pirate dudes. Now for the boss fights, all of the bosses have a laser that they would use for long range, and then they would either throw a large object at you or try to melee you for shorter to medium range. The formula for beating one of these bosses was basically the same for beating all of them. You basically just dodge the laser and hop around in the opposite direction of wherever they're throwing the object. Now, This isn't Dark Souls, so in the context of this game, that's not a huge deal, but I do think having a greater variety of how you would take on these bosses and enemies would make the game a bit more challenging and a little bit more fun. If you've played Ratchet and Clank games in the past, this will be a fantastic nostalgia trip, and if you haven't, then I think this would be a great intro for you to play this legendary game franchise and really just have a new game for your PS5. For me, I'm going to give this game a 80% because it really was a blast and made me reminisce on my childhood. As always, I hope you enjoyed this game review, and if you did make it to the end, a like and subscribe are greatly appreciated to really help grow the channel, and I'd love for all of you to join our community Discord that's linked in the description below. For now, I'm out, and I'll see you all again on Tuesday.